Hi everyone, my name's Ali Sample. I'm your live lounge host today, and welcome to the University of Lincoln Open Day. And as you can see from the birds flying past the window, we are live and in Lincoln. And I'd like to thank you all for coming, whether you be parents, students, teachers, or friends. It's really great to welcome you here to this live virtual open day. And it obviously shows you've got great taste choosing to come here. So I'm one of your live lounge hosts, and here with me today is Emma. Emma, would you like to say hi?
Good morning and welcome to our virtual open day this morning. I'm also in Lincoln and also on campus, and as you can see, I am in a lecture theatre and I'm in our Isaac Newton building lecture theatre, which is a 550-seater lecture theatre, and as you can see, it's all ready and waiting for our students to arrive any time now.
It does look huge, and of course normally we'd be in the Isaac Newton Centre, wouldn't we, Emma?
We would, on a normal day, in normal times, this would be your welcome, and we would be welcoming you here with tea, coffee, Danish pastries, all of those things, literally as you would be sort of about to receive your welcome. Unfortunately, that's not possible today, so you've literally got me sort of sat here beaming into you virtually, and you can sit and have your croissants and your coffee sat at home.
Yeah, and enjoy a bit of chat today, actually, because we've got a really exciting day planned for you. So, Emma, I'll ask you, actually, if you don't mind, to talk us through the schedule today.
Absolutely, yeah. We've got a really very packed sort of schedule today. A lot going on, an awful lot going on. So we're here with you until 2 o'clock, but the schedule is slightly split. So this morning we are sort of having a chat really with lots of people. We're meeting first and foremost Dan Sam, who is one of our alumni. He joined us and ended up being our SU president. So we're going to
our best presidents. We absolutely love Dan, didn't we?
We really did love Dan, and we still love Dan, which is why he's here today. And he is going to tell us about his journey and his amazing career that he's had the 6 years since he graduated from Lincoln. We're also going to speak to Ben in Accommodation, so you can hear all about our accommodation and the top tips and how and what to apply and what to look for student accommodation for 2021. We're speaking to the SU, Lucy, who's telling us all about the exciting things that the SU currently do. Caroline Connell is going to go through the application process with us. So actually, this is really key and a really important sort of bit of information so that you know what and how you submit your application and the best bits of advice about choosing your degree.
That will be really useful, so definitely don't miss that. Even if you go off and make a coffee, drink some of the rest of it, do hang around for Caroline.
Absolutely, 11 o'clock, Caroline will be in. Then we've got Chichi, she's one of our alumni here. She's a European student that joined us and has stayed in Lincoln, which is amazing. And then we're going to Will, who is our current student, and Will is our second year medical student, and he's actually back on campus now. So we're going to talk about his journey and also what life is like on campus now he's back here. So yeah.
And that's the morning. Then afternoon is for subject sessions. And what we have to say is Emma and I are live, and if you've got questions for us, you can ask questions and we will answer them or do our best. And also, if we can't answer them, there is a Q&A. So if you click through, you can see that. And I'm going to call him producer Darren. Darren is our producer today. He's another alumni. You can't go anywhere in the world without meeting an alumnus from the University of Lincoln. So hi, Darren, who are you and what are you doing here today?
Hi, Ellie, thank you. Yes, I'm a graduate from the University of Lincoln, graduated in 2014 in film and TV, and I'm still using my skills that I've built up there to do exciting things like this. But yeah, I'll be here, I'll be in the background, helping to run this event for everyone today.
Sorry, Des, I was just going to say, how do people ask questions if they want to interact with us or even just say hi?
Great minds think alike. I was just about to say, if you have any questions at all on YouTube or Facebook, if that's where you're watching, then please just head to the comment section, say hello, or type in your questions. we'll aim to get back to them during this live stream. If we can't get to them, or maybe they're quite complex, either myself or my team will respond and try and help you with your question directly, or we'll point you in the right place.
We do have lots of questions already. So hello to Robert Jepson. Your daughter's coming to Lincoln this October, but you say there are lectures, but not in her subject. All courses will be teaching face-to-face as well as online, Robert. So I hope that reassures you. If you want to interact with us, please just send us an email or come into our Slido Q&A and you can have a chat with us. Joshua Williams, hi. You can't sign into the open day. Oh, Darren, any ideas what might be the problem there?
So if you're on YouTube, what I would recommend is if you just head over to this website at the bottom that I've just put up, take a look there. You should be able to directly go onto the virtual open day there straight away. So you might not need to sign up. So you might just bypass that issue. But when you get there, there will be this live stream as well as live chats that you'll be able to speak to staff, and we can help you if you do want to give us your details and find out more about the university.
And Laura Burton, hi Laura Burton, really good question. Will we have to stay at uni at Christmas? Now, we don't know, but Emma and I were talking about this yesterday, weren't we, Emma? Did you want to say a few words on this?
Yeah, we were. Like you, Laura, we've also read in the media all of those things about staying at uni over Christmas. We genuinely do not know yet, but what we can assure you, if that is the case, then we will be here to support you. Myself and Ellie were sort of joking that if need be, we will be in on Christmas Day and we'll be cooking your turkey with you. So if that is the case, or if there's just a number of students that have to be here, the support mechanism at Lincoln and the support services that we have will ensure that you are safe and you'll have a fun time if that happens. But we genuinely know no more than you at the moment.
That's very true. And it's a difficult time and we know it must be really unsettling. So our aim today is to give you as much reassurance as we can. Please do ask questions. Oh, Darren, there's a good question for you there from Izzy. Will the subject talks be on YouTube or on the website?
Yep, good question. So they'll be on both. So they will be streaming simultaneously on the website and on YouTube. Again, if you follow the link, I'll put the link back up again. So you can head over to that website and you'll see all the live streams there. And they will be available later to watch as well if you don't quite get to it today. But I'll just put that URL up one more time.
And I think what Emma was saying is that basically we put students at the heart of everything that we do at the University of Lincoln. And this is probably why we were proud to be announced as the Sunday Times and Times Good University Guide Modern University of the Year last week. And we're incredibly proud of this, aren't we, Emma? It's really good news.
We are. It's amazing news. It's what we believe, but actually it's so nice that we've got the recognition from the Times and the Sunday Times to do that. We are an amazing university, but obviously you need to sort of take that flavour in today and go to all the subject sessions and listen to people that are currently here, people that have been here and are talking about their journey, and make that assumption for yourselves. But it's an amazing accolade and we're so excited to get that.
It is. And you can be proud that you'll be joining the Modern University of the Year, which is fabulous. Yes, Jack Smith, will the talks be recorded? Yes, they will. And the thing I wanted to say, actually, Emma said where she was in the amazing Isaac Newton Lecture Theatre. Darren, as you can probably tell, is working from home today, doing producer things. Very nice picture there, Darren. I'm in the Vice Chancellor's office. I've done a VC takeover. So what you can see behind me is Lincoln, the city. So it gives you an idea. The university really is in the heart of the city. And behind me, you can see the castle, the cathedral, and it's my favourite place in the city of Lincoln. I always say it's a bit like Middle Earth. The younger people say it's a bit like Hogwarts. Emma, it's fabulous, isn't it? Because we have graduation up there and it's a really fabulous experience.
Oh, graduation. I've worked I've lived in Lincoln a very long time, but I've also worked at the university a long time, and graduation still gives me goosebumps. When I go into that cathedral, it is just magical. It's just like something else. And I would put it out there that it's probably one of the best graduations in the world that we deliver at Lincoln. If I'm honest, it is just incredible. And I'm sure other colleagues will talk about it, but we literally take over that cathedral quarter of Lincoln with the castle, the marquee in the castle, the ceremonies in the cathedral. It's just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it is a beautiful, and it's really interesting because you have the old sort of city, and then down by the Brayford, which is right here, the river, which used to be an old Roman settlement, you have the new sort of exciting area of the city, so it's a real mixture. But rather than me and Emma talking about it, we should probably take this moment to introduce Dan Sam, another alumnus of the University of Lincoln. So we'll say goodbye, producer Darren, although we might talk to you later on, and thank you so much for your hard work. And we'll say hello, Dan. Hopefully. Are you there, Dan? Dan, hi.
Hello, Dan.
Hello. How's everyone doing?
Oh, we're really good. It's a fabulous day. We love open days. It's always sunny and it's always a good time here at Lincoln. Even in these unprecedented times, it's really nice. But Dan, tell us a bit about you. Introduce us. Tell us why you're here, what you're doing now, and a little bit about your journey, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure, Ellie. Well, thanks to you guys, of course, for inviting me, first of all. Even if it is a Saturday morning, this is probably one of my favorite places to be, regardless. So appreciate that. But yeah, no, I'm Dan. I went to the University of Lincoln. I started in 2009 and graduated in 2012. I studied accounting and finance at the time, and it was a great course for me, and it's helped me so much in my career. Instead of graduating, like most of the rest of my cohort, I decided to stay on in Lincoln in a different capacity as part of the student officer team, which you may refer to as sabbatical officers or SU representatives. So my first year I was a VP activities, and then in my second year I was lucky enough to be the president of the Students' Union.
What was that like, Dan? What was it like being president?
It was a fantastic experience. So apart from the coffee catch-ups with you, Ellie, every now and then, there was.
We did have some fun. It was good.
It was great, and for everyone listening, when I wasn't necessarily having my lunches and dinners, Ellie would always take me out and make sure I was having my 5 a day. So that was. I
was a bit worried you didn't eat well, Dan. You played a little bit too hard, so we did try and take care of us. But no.
Living the dream. But yeah, no, it was a fantastic time, and I got to mix with obviously senior people in the university, senior stakeholders in the community, like the local MP, councillors, and the rest of it. But as well as that, interacting every single day with students on campus, which was my absolute favorite thing to do. So I got to listen to their views and, take those views back to university and, make sense of it from a practical perspective so that we could come to, resolutions or solutions as a partnership, which effectively the university has always tried to promote, which is the concept around students as partners and wanting to engage in their academic lives, but also make sure that the social part of the university experience is the best that it could be. So that was basically 2 years.
Our students are involved in every single aspect of the university. So they sit on all interviews, they sit on all committees. They have a really strong voice at Lincoln in sort of the direction of the university. But tell us a bit about what you've done since, Dan, because your career has been so exciting.
Oh, thanks, Ellie. So as I said, 2019 started and left in 2014 after doing 2 years in the SU. So since 2014, so until now, 2020, I've been working for Santander. I I started out within the university's division, which basically was a corporate social responsibility function that was mixed with a retail function. So I was thrust into a branch manager role and had to manage some university relationships, which was not too alien to me because I had sort of been doing that for the last 2 years in my student union capacity. And then I did that for a while and have bounced around the institution, getting promoted, being responsible for more things, and now I'm a banker within the the global investment banking franchise, which is something that, to be honest, was a dream of mine, and Lincoln absolutely helped me in my development to get there, either through the academic perspective or from the soft skills, career development advice, experiences. All of those things sort of helped me to sort of catapult my career in the right direction. So it's been a fantastic journey. I've had so many great sponsors and great mentors. But I think it goes without saying that the Lincoln experience, without it, I wouldn't necessarily be in the place that I am today. So I'm extremely thankful for that.
I think it's a good point. Emma and I always say at Open Days that from day one that you're a student with us, we're thinking about your future career, even if you're not, because education is about preparing you to play a part in the world. We always talk about changing the world and having the opportunities to go out there and make a difference. And we try and do that with all of our students. And would you agree, Dan?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I obviously graduated in 2012 and left in 2014. But, I try and stay in touch as much as I can and, speak to the members of staff at the SU and just to understand sort of what's happening. And I'm on the Twitter and Facebook feed, so I do get the sense that actually the university continues to progress, whether it's a building a year on campus or it's the diversity and the mix of the international student population mixing in with our home students, and the way that interaction continues to flourish and grow. So as a result of that, we've seen, well, from the SU perspective, we've seen a massive change in the officer group, where we now have an international students officer who literally is like their responsibility is to make sure that the international student experience on campus is as good as it can be, which I didn't have in my years at Lincoln, but just shows you, as the institution continues to evolve and the student needs continue to evolve, then the SU and university will make sure that things can be done in tandem to improve the overall student experience. So, in my time, I'm always going to pick it up and say it was fantastic. But I think what's even more important is the progression and the way that the institution continues to evolve and flex in today's environment.
And Dan, tell us a couple of some more fun things to sort of wrap up with. What was your favourite thing to do in Lincoln, or what remains your favourite thing to do in Lincoln? Because I know you come back now and again.
Favourite thing to do in Lincoln. To be honest, when I was a student, and this is to any prospective students, might not cater to the parents, but to be honest, going out was my favourite thing to do. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but I'm being honest. It's a relatively small city in comparison to London, where I'm from, and you've got that real community vibe on campus, where you could literally be in the middle of campus at one point, or at the library at one point, and then be at the Odeon within 2 minutes, which is absolutely bonkers for me as a Londoner. I would expect as a Londoner to be getting my Oyster card out and traveling into the centre of London and spending 2 hours on traveling, but actually everything is right in the middle. So that was super useful for me. And I say going out because we've got the engine shed, or the SU, on campus, which provides a safe space on campus. So, you can have fun and not worry so much about, how you're going to get home, or, your safety and the rest of it. From a parent's perspective, I know that would be quite important. But then also there's like enough restaurants and bars around, if there is a wider choice outside of the student union or the university facilities on campus for people to sort of indulge in. So that was all great stuff. And I've have very fond memories of my social experience on campus. I've got many a WhatsApp group that I refer to where we draw back the memories of, do you remember that Wednesday night when X and Y? And those are those are the things that stay with you forever. So yeah, no, those are all great things for me.
I have to say, Dan, I know from seeing you on Facebook that you made friends for life, because I know that you went to Snowdon recently with a load of the guys from Lincoln.
I did, yes. Ellie, you are bang on the money again. Yeah, exactly. Yes, that's correct. I went to Snowdon, which was a fantastic experience. I have to say, I didn't expect Snowdon to be as difficult as it was. I was almost expecting it to be a leisurely stroll, and then about 20 minutes into it, I found out I was using my hands and knees, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I might have to think this through. But no, you're right. I made some lifelong friends, and my best friends are University of Lincoln graduates as well. And yeah, even to the point where, like, last night they were literally in this room I'm sat in now, and we were having our own little catch-up session in the lockdown environment that we have. So yeah, no, I'm obviously grateful for the experiences that Lincoln gave me, but yeah, lifelong friends is something that you can't really buy, right? So yeah, always a good one.
We're really grateful to you, Dan, and thank you so much for spending time with us this morning. I hope that's nice for current potential applicants to see, and parents and teachers to see. And we're going to say a huge thanks, a huge goodbye. Thank you for coming. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks so much. See ya.
And Emma, I think you're going to introduce our next guest.
Yeah, should we just answer a couple of questions, Ellie? Because I think Ben's due in a couple of minutes, isn't he? So I see that there is a question from Hayley about her timetable. Hayley, what I suggest is if you go on our website right to the bottom where the Slido chat is, if you take that question sort of offline, and somebody from your college or your course can probably answer that a little bit for you. I understand that is always a problem. But if you sort of take that offline, we can probably, it's an individual question really. So we'll ensure that we answer that for you. Somebody else had asked something, Ellie, about sanitizer. I'm sorry, it's sort of moved on my script a little bit now, but I can absolutely assure you I'm on campus today, as you can see, and absolutely inside this lecture theatre, there are 2 sanitizer stations that I'm literally looking at in both directions. As I walked into the building, I passed 3 sanitizer stations, and that was literally from one door to the next. So yeah, I can absolutely assure you that there are sanitizer stations absolutely everywhere around campus.
And I can see those dots on the chairs behind you, Emma. What are those? Do you want to tell us what those are?
I'm not sure I'm sort of sat positioned quite correctly, but I think on the green ones, you can see that they are seats that are safe to sit. So we are not, it's very clear that we are adhering to the percentage capacity in this room. So all of those sort of red crosses means that nobody will be sitting on those seats, and you will only be sitting on the green ticks, shall I say.
We've got good social distancing. We've got one-way systems throughout the whole campus. We've got PPE provided for all of the practical sessions that are taking place. So for this year, while the government guidance is in place that we're currently aware of, we are doing around about 25% of teaching is still face-to-face. That's to make sure that the laboratory and the practical sessions still take place, because obviously there's the pedagogic elements of teaching, and there's also the pastoral care elements of education, where you learn from being with people and from building those networks, and personal interaction is so important. So it's really essential that we provide the opportunities for that to happen, and that means PPE where it's required is provided.
Claire, yes, there will be sufficient places. We're absolutely open for applications for 2021. So, there will be exactly the same sort of opportunities for you as a 2020 2021 applicant as the 2020 applicant. So please get your application in. Obviously, as this would be a message to any applicant at this point in the cycle, the sooner you get your application in, you can sort of plan your journey for next October.
And obviously, the deadline for most applications is the 15th of January, but for medicine, the deadline is the 15th of October. So that's coming quite swiftly. If you are considering applying for medicine at Lincoln, and the student we'll be speaking to later on at 11:30, he is one of our medical students in the second year. So, yes, it's really important to make sure that you're getting your application. And a big hi to Claire Victoria, in that you're saying your son returns for year 3 next week, and that you're pleased you've got things in place. And yes, we've been working really, really hard for the last 6 months to make sure that the campus is ready for the students coming back this year. And we are so excited, aren't we, Emma? Because they start back on the 5th of October. And there's so much going on campus. It's really exciting, isn't it?
There is, and I think Lucy will sort of explain briefly what sort of things we've got in place for this sort of term, and then plans for next year as well in the SU. So there's a whole mix, and I think Dan explained really nicely how he mixed obviously his academic studies so that he has now got his dream career, but also played hard as well. So he had a very nice mix of student life, really, didn't he?
Yeah, and I can see that Claire's entire family seems to have been to the University of Lincoln. Claire, we're going to have to put you in touch with our alumni office, although I suspect you may be our alumni office. It looks like everyone's...
We need to interview Claire as a parent.
Emma, I'm going to ask you, I always ask everyone, but I do want to ask you, what's your favourite thing to do in Lincoln?
My favourite thing is definitely some of the really quirky cafes in the centre of Lincoln. So there's a little cafe called the Rising Cafe, which is literally sort of a 2-minute walk just beyond the Odeon that I think Dan just referred to. And it's so sort of quirky. There's lots of chains of sort of your usual Costa, Starbucks, places like that in Lincoln. But there's some really bespoke little coffee shops and things that I really love.
Yeah, and also you can get outside of Lincoln really easily, can't you? I mean, I love the coast, so I love going over to Sutton-on-Sea, Skegness, also known as Skeg Vegas. But I keep boring Emma because I went to Sutton-on-Sea probably about a month ago now, and I was swimming in the sea because it was so lovely and hot, and a seal popped up right next to me. And I was so excited. I haven't been able to get over that. That was ever so surreal, but really, really wonderful. But we're surrounded by wonderful wildlife, wonderful outdoor countryside, aren't we? It's just a wonderful place to be.
It certainly is. There's a question there from Tyler. Tyler, we will pick that up with Caroline at 11 o'clock. But for biomedical science, your deadline is the 15th of January. So that's your deadline for biomedical science.
And another question from Madeline Williams. Hi, Madeline. Thanks for watching. Is Lincoln a campus university? Yes, undoubtedly, it is a campus university. We've got loads of outdoor space. But as you can see from where I'm sitting, we're right in the heart of the city. So we're quite unique in that we're a campus university where all of our accommodation is either on campus or a short walk away. But equally, you can be on the high street in about 5 minutes, and you can be at the top of Steep Hill, named because it is incredibly steep. I think it was voted the steepest hill in the UK a couple of years ago by the Telegraph, which is very true. But despite being steep, if you're relatively fit, you can get right up it to the castle and cathedral, if I can point just over there, in about 15 minutes, can't you, Emma?
You certainly can. Yeah, lots of university staff have that as their sort of lunchtime walk in sort of normal times. I can't say it's one of mine, but lots of people do it. Yeah. Do you think it's time now to meet Ben? Because I can see there are a few questions already coming in about accommodation. So I think it's really key that we probably get Ben in so we can talk about our accommodation.
Sounds great. And while Ben's arriving, I'm going to say a huge hi to Janice. Janice, thank you. We're really delighted that your son's coming back to do his master's with us. That's really good news. Hi, Ben. Where are you?
Good morning. I'm good, thank you.
Where are you, Ben?
I'm here in Signet Wharf, one of our accommodation buildings, getting ready for students to return in a couple of weeks' time. So it's fairly empty and echoey right now, but just thought it would give you a bit of a view of there are kitchens cleared and ready for students to arrive.
Very shiny kitchens there. With our cleaning is very precise. We've got a couple of questions, Ben. I think just before we kick off with sort of our questions, there's one about obviously we're going to focus really on 2021 and how people apply and what accommodation we've got on campus and around the city. But we've got a question here about moving into 179 High Street on the 11th. And when will we be able to book a time slot, and will both parents be able to join him in the moving in? I think that's a very common question that you're getting, Ben. So maybe if we sort of kick off with that, and then we'll move on to 2021 questions.
Yeah, so we've had to take an awful lot of time. So being a city centre based campus university, there is not vast space for vehicles, so we have to have particularly programmed arrival arrangements, which we would have to do in any normal year. This year we have to try and space it out and make it longer and think how many people are arriving for which part of which building. And that's not quite as simple a jigsaw puzzle as possibly everybody thinks, but it's actually something I'm going to start finishing off when I leave here. Those hopefully will start moving out very early this coming week, because, as I say, it's part of our task this weekend to get that completed. Arrival process, the university has asked us to make sure that only one person is supporting a student moving into their accommodation as they physically move in. Now, we have had this question in lots of different ways. So, you know, we have to ask people to recognise the challenge of social distancing that we're seeing in the news, and it's difficult to apply that to every family situation as well, and it's all a bit different. So in terms of moving in, what we're necessary is both parents can come. So we're not going to see a car with two parents and do anything strange with it and stop it or anything like that. But on moving into the building, we're suggesting that there's potentially a one in and one out on the parent rota, if you like, so that we understand that mum and dad will want to look at it, even brother and sister will want to look at the accommodation that their brother or sister is going to stay in, or their son and daughter. So we have to reduce the number of people who are in the building, because this unit, these apartments, are going to be setting up new households. And this is quite a challenge to get across to lots of students, and therefore I am going to assume also mums and dads that they are forming a new household separate to the household they are leaving right now. So all of the rules about mixing households now are in place for that new household, and they should then manage their visitors accordingly within the number of 6, or within, if an apartment is of 7 or 8 students, it's already past the number of 6. As a household, it's okay, but then bringing visitors in breaches that rule. Now, it's just difficult for everybody to try and grasp this in terms of wanting to say goodbye, wanting to help people settle in. So that's what we're sort of trying to say, is that if people could manage themselves on a one in, one out basis, then we can probably cope with that reasonably okay. And everybody, as much as our staff as well, will have to be responsible around each other. So we've done some small intakes with continuing students, as you're going to pick up with some of the guys later on who are already here. Our medicine students first year have arrived, and we're sort of experiencing that already, of how we issue keys, how they move in, and some of the big events we're just going to have to continue to say that we all have a responsibility for social distancing.
Fabulous. Thank you.
There are lots of questions for 2021. So shall we have a look at all the exciting things that, because obviously we don't know what the situation will be like for next year at the moment. So hopefully a little bit more normal, but let's have a look at 2021.
So Ben, you've already explained to us that you are in Cygnet Wharf, which is one of our on-campus accommodation. Do you want to tell us what else is available around the campus and very close to the city?
So we have 3 developments now known as on campus, which is Cygnet Wharf, where I am. All rooms are en suite in Cygnet Wharf. Apartments are between 10 and 12 students. There's 2 or 3 smaller apartments, but in the majority, they're for 10 and 12 students. It's right in the centre of campus. Student wellbeing are just past that wall. Obviously, you can't see them, but they are. And down the road past Cygnet Wharf is Lincoln Courts, our first student village. So Cygnet Wharf has 442 bedrooms. Lincoln Courts has 1,000 bedrooms. In the majority is en suite again, but there are a number of non-en-suite apartments. They would range from all of our apartments in Lincoln Courts will range from generally 3 to 8 students, with the greatest majority being 6 and 8. And then we have 179 High Street, which is opening this year and is placed right next door to our Sarah Swift building and about 2 doors down from the David Chiddick building. And all of those 3 locations we know as being on campus. 179 High Street has 300 rooms with some studio apartments as well, and then apartments between 5 and 16 students. So we're trying to cater with lots of different types of accommodation, different setups, different numbers, and things like that. Now, when we then get to the story of being on campus in the city, and then we're going to do the great thing of moving off campus. So we have university managed accommodation which is off campus, but we're talking 5 to 10 minutes walk away. So 2 or 3 minutes behind me is Viking House. Viking House has 276 rooms with 17 studios to add, which are just being completed. And that's literally 2 or 3 minutes walk from where I am right now. Again, mainly is all en suite in there, with some very large apartments, up to 23 in one example. Oh. We then move, I was to nip down the road and round the corner of the car park and come to see you, I would be passing the corner with McDonald's on. I'm not sure why McDonald's is always good for student accommodation, but when it's open and it's a very busy place, which then has the gateway on the corner of the big roundabout. Literally 2 minutes walk away from where you are, Emma, in the
if I look out that way, I'm looking at Gateway. Yeah, so it'll take me
519 rooms in the Gateway. Majority are studio rooms in this particular building, but studio rooms in an apartment setting. So you have the opportunity for independent living, but you also have an opportunity to socialise with other people from working out of your own studio. We will then be completing for 2021 our possibly last major development in terms of accommodation for some while. I hope so. We've been putting things up since 2017, I think. Is St Mark's Student Village. St Mark's Student Village is going to host 1,300 students, all en suite in variants of blocks with accommodation of 8s and 12s and a range between there. Literally, again, a stone's throw from the university.
Literally at the back of me, isn't it?
And we've got some really good questions, which I'm going to put to you both. The first one is from Janice Hughes. Hi, Janice. And this one's really for you, Emma. How do we get all of the leaflets, like the prospectus, etc., that we would normally collect at an open day, please?
I noticed that, Janice, and I picked that up as well, Ellie. I think that's a really, really good sort of question. Now, a normal prospectus, you can apply for that on our website. So if you're on our website anyway, go in, request it, and we will send that out in the post. We're going in on campus to send those out physically. Some of the information that you would normally get about accommodation, for example, then all of that information is on the website. Is that correct, Ben? It is, isn't it?
It is. It's because the website is a huge and vast resource for the university. We've also got a separate resource, and I don't know if producer Darren can help us out with it's an HTTPS thing, which he'll know all about. accommodation.lincoln.ac.uk, which will give you a number of photographs and images and descriptions of everything that I'm telling you about right now. And then also emailing us at accommodation@lincoln.ac.uk if you have any particular questions that are personal to you that we may not have picked up. But that was a resource.
Sorry, Ben, 2 questions for you. Joshua Williams says, I was wondering if you did a catering package at all.
No, we at Lincoln don't have a catered package.
And probably because we're right in the heart of the city. There's so much choice all around. You know, you can literally decide where to eat either on campus or around the campus on a day-by-day basis. And I have to say, producer Darren has done exactly what you asked, Ben.
Super. Yeah, the resource, whether we can do that, is say accommodation.lincoln.ac.uk, and that will give everybody lots of images. But the guys on the question and answer session and or the emails can point people in that direction, and it's got lots of arrays of photos. Thank you, Darren. Lots of arrays of photos and descriptions of all of the places. The only other one that I haven't got to, if I can just pick that up, and then you can fire all those good questions at me, is Valentine Court. Valentine Court we opened up this year, gone down really, really well. Is a hall of residence, 469 bedrooms, but it's in a housing estate type setting. So we have terraces and courtyards, which is a really, really nice setting. It's gone down really, really well. It does offer a little bit of car parking to support our nursing and paramedic students. Again, 469 ensuite rooms. All of our university managed accommodation is supported by our residential wardens team, which have 24/7 access to the accommodation team and the security team, so we can make sure there's a rounded support service for all of our students.
There's one question here from Maddie. In the accommodation, are the students arranged in groups depending on their alike subjects or varied?
No, it's varied. Everybody at every university has tried this to make this work. We've done what we call cohort allocation before, and it's brilliant for the first 3 or 4 days being at university. But then actually you're a group that never separates. And I mean, if it gels, it's great. If it doesn't, so they are quite random allocations depending on anybody giving us any particular preferences that they might have.
I think that's really key, isn't it? I think your university life is making friends that are on different courses as well as like for like sort of courses. So actually having a nice mix is really, really good. And I think, you know, the likes of if we talk to Chichi a little bit later, she will probably tell you exactly the same. And I'm sure Darren would as well. So that's really, really key. I think it's worth sort of asking you, Ben, I'll get my words out. For this year, once we've got our applications in, when can students apply for accommodation for 2021?
Well, we're looking at bringing it forward a little bit to what we normally have to try and meet the flow of acceptances. So it could be that we may be starting in November, actually, but we would be in what sort of happens whenever we start, then we will be putting the accommodation booking system actually emails the student to say, you can now apply for accommodation if you would like to. So we're just looking at actually bringing that further forward than we have in the past. Some discussion about how we actually process that is then, but as a bottom line, the booking system itself actually sends that notice to an individual to say, welcome to the university. You can now make your application for accommodation if you would like to.
Absolutely. So you have worked here quite some time, Ben, like myself. What is the most common question at this point in the cycle? If we're on campus today, what is the most common question a parent would be asking you?
There's 2 ways. If it's today, it's how many people can help me move in.
2021. So not this is, you know, if it's a normal open day.
Normally it's about security and distance, actually. You know, so whilst we say, I've just said to you that St Mark's Student Village and the Gateway and Viking House and Valentine Court are all off campus, in Lincoln's example compared to other campuses, you know, we are literally talking in some examples 2 minutes away, 5 minutes away, and 10 minutes from Valentine Court to where you are, Emma, in the Isaac Newton building. And it's next door to Morrison's, and it's next door to Georgia Asda. So there's a whole set of benefits in that. And that's the important thing, that understanding that in Lincoln, living off campus does not require the use of public transport, does not require people to be moving late at night, long distances and things like that. We are all literally in the middle of the city centre within a 15-minute circle, if you like, at the very, very most.
Absolutely. We've got time, I think, for another question.
Should we go for a final fun question, Emma? Yeah. So, Ben, can you tell us, as someone who's been around Lincoln for a while, what is your favourite thing to do in Lincoln? I'm
getting worried about this reputation about being around Lincoln for a while. To be consistent with all of the work we've done, it still is, you know, actually for me, is walk from the university down the side of the Brayford Pool that we're on the edge of, as we can see behind you, and then walk the circle of the Brayford Pool past all of the restaurants and bars that are behind you near the Odeon Cinema, because actually the university, viewing the university from the other side of the Brayford Pool, I think is quite a fascinating view. And because I've been around in Lincoln for a while, as people seem to say, then I remember when we only had 2 buildings. So we had the atrium that you're in, Ellie, and we had the first phase of accommodation.
Whereas now it's absolutely huge. And I mean, the other thing about walking around the Brayford Pool is the wildlife. So the swans, the ducks, the Muscovy ducks, the otters. I mean, it is a really beautiful thing to see, isn't it?
It really is. It's just a really pleasant and interesting walk, that whichever part you're either seeing development, or as you say, you're seeing actually you're right next door to nature as well. No, it is a really nice place to walk on.
Right, we have grown up into the Modern University of the Year, which is something that we're incredibly proud of, and you know, we've come a long way. But I'm going to hand over to Emma, because I think it's probably time for us to move on. Emma, is it?
I think it is, yeah. I think if I just give a very quick overview of some of those questions there about accommodation, there is no closest accommodation to your sort of course, particularly. The accommodation that Ben has been talking about literally surrounds the campus. It's sort of full circle.
It's all close, really.
All close, yeah. So it's about choosing the accommodation that's right for you, I would suggest. So have a look at where Darren did that accommodation at Lincoln, bit. Have a look at there and view which accommodation and budget is right for you, I think is really, really key. So, Ellie, I think we're now going to move across to a lot more fun and exciting stuff for the students with Lucy. Thank you so much, Ben.
Am I not fun anymore?
You just weren't funny enough, Ben. That was dreadful. And we have to. Ben is going to be around, isn't he, Emma? You're online, aren't you, Ben, to answer questions for today?
The team are on the question and answer. We're watching the mailboxes. Either way, we'll be picking that up and staying through the open day period to make sure that we get everybody's questions answered today.
You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. And thank you for all the support. Thank you.
Bye.
And Emma, you're right. We're going over to the SU, to the Students' Union. And Lucy, hi, Lucy. Where are you? Hi.
Hiya, I'm here in Towers, which is one of our student bars. It's attached to the engine shed, which is our big venue, and is right opposite the library. So it's great for when studying gets a little bit too much and you need a pint.
It is a wonderful bar, though. It always makes me think a little bit of Alice in Wonderland. It's not really a normal bar, is it? I mean, but probably before we get onto that, Lucy, tell us a little bit about the Students' Union, what you are, because you're a separate organisation, and why you exist.
Yeah, so the Students' Union are separate from the university. We are an organisation here for students, led by students. So if you come onto campus at any point, you will see 5 faces on the side of the Students' Union building, and they are your vice presidents. So they are your sabbatical officers, as Dan was talking about earlier. We're slightly different now from when he was president, in the fact that we don't actually have a president's role anymore. We all sit at the same level and we have a lead officer. So I'm Lucy, I'm the Vice President Wellbeing and Community. I, fairly self-explanatory, look after student wellbeing and ensure that everyone is happy and we are supporting as much as we can. We have Amina, who is our Vice President International. She works with the ISA to ensure that all international students feel supported. We have Bailey, who is our Vice President Environment and Campaigns. She is an eco queen. Anything environmental, she will know the answer. And she also supports our campaigns network, which is where all of our liberation officers sit, and they make sure students feel represented in their day-to-day life. So we also have Georgia, who is our Vice President Education and our lead officer, and she works very closely with her course reps and school reps to work with the university to ensure that students get the most out of their academic experience. And finally, we have Abby, who everyone knows because she is our Vice President Activities. She works with all of our societies, sports and academic societies to ensure that students get that extracurricular aspect of university.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Lucy, because obviously going to university is about sort of getting the skills and knowledge to go into a career, but a significant part of that is opportunities to do things that you would never normally get to do. So what sort of opportunities are there?
There are millions, honestly, Ellie. So you can be part of a sport or society. We have academic societies which work in line with your course, which are fantastic. But we also have recreational societies. So personally, I was a member of dance, and I actually met Bailey, our VP Environment, on the first day of Freshers Week or something, and now we're vice presidents together, which is really fun. We do lots of volunteering opportunities. So as I said, we all have our own networks, and you can be part of those networks. I have the Wellbeing Network, which is brand new. We're recruiting volunteers for it at the moment, and I'm really excited about it. We have a pen pal scheme, which pairs incoming international students with current students, and it helps with a sort of exchange of culture, ensuring everyone feels settled, and also just means that those incoming students have a friend when they first join. We also have community volunteering, so you can volunteer with Brayford cleanups, all sorts of things within the community. But if that's not your sort of thing, you can be a member of student staff here. I was a member of staff at the Barge, which is our cocktail bar on the Brayford, and it was one of the best things I ever did. I worked with such a fantastic team, and it completely made my third year, and I'm still friends with all of them. And
it's probably important to point out that the Barge is a boat. So it's a cocktail, it's a floating cocktail palace, basically. I mean, the SU do a range of amazing things, really. And tell us a little bit about your experience in the Dance Society. What kind of things did you do?
So I have danced since I was very young. I took a break sort of through sixth form because A-levels are difficult. Anyone that's currently doing A-levels knows that. And I wanted to get back into it at university, so I went along to a taster session. And then throughout particularly my first 2 years at university, I did 6 or 7 dance styles. I competed at competitions against other universities in different dance styles for the society. We have socials, which obviously in non-COVID times are fantastic, but I know the Dance Society are looking at, as many of our societies are looking at moving everything virtual to ensure students still get that experience. And then in my third year, it was great because although I was doing a dissertation, I was stressed, I was working at the Barge, I could still fit in going to classes, and working at the Students' Union is really good because they will ensure that your shifts are made to go around your societies and sports times.
And I mean, you mentioned COVID times. I mean, for this year, for 2020 coming in, even though there's all the restrictions around COVID, I know the SU have put some amazing activities in place for our students who are about to join us in October. Can you tell us a few things that are planned to go on that are face-to-face? Because it is really exciting.
Yeah, so we have So many things. I think we have more than we've had in previous years, and a lot less alcohol focused, which makes it far more inclusive. Everything is obviously being done within government guidelines. Safety of our students is absolutely paramount to us, and we think it's really important. But we're doing things like quizzes, we've got bingo, we've got UV Quasi Golf, we've got walking tours of the city, we've got bike tours, there's all sorts, and it's really great because we have our new student orders app. So if you are at an event in the engine shed, you will sit on a table in a group of 6. You will wear a face mask if you are up from a table at any point to go to the toilet, and everything can be ordered through our student orders app. So that's food, that's drinks, and all of the food can be meat, vegetarian or vegan, and it's so good.
Really, and you've also got, there's the beach parties. I think you've got a couple of comedians booked, like Russell Kane. You've got I'm trying to think what the other. Oh, you did the outdoor cinema. That was last night, I think. How was that? How did that go?
We did it on Wednesday night due to the unpredictable British weather. It was brought inside, but as I said, there are so many things that Ellie, you've managed to list off more than I could even remember. But for those students that don't particularly want to leave accommodation, whether it's because of COVID or just because they're not particularly social, they find it quite intimidating. We are also doing something called Twilight Cafes, and these will be run from 8 to 10 p.m. virtually throughout the entirety of Welcome Week. A student leader will take each one, and we think we're going to do them as a bit of a theme. So if you go to George's, you'll do arts and crafts. If you come to mine, I think I'm probably going to do some baking, so we can bake cookies together on Teams. And you can get to know people and have that interaction right from the comfort of your accommodation.
That's brilliant. But hopefully 2021, fingers crossed, we might be looking at a different set of environments, and it might be more normal. So if you don't mind just talking through sort of last year before this, what kind of things would people have expected to be going on around the SU during a regular year?
Quack is our Wednesday night. It's where all of our sports and societies have their socials. It's great. Student leaders throw out rubber ducks, obviously with the name like Quack, why wouldn't you? And it's the best night of the week.
No, it really is. And I should probably ask you about the otters. And I'm sorry, if anyone's watched us before, you'll know that I always ask the students about the otters, but it's because you've got some otters living right outside the Students' Union. And although I don't think you've seen them yet, have you, Lucy?
I haven't. I think they only like Bailey because she's our Vice President Environmental. I think it might be a little bit cold for them at the moment. I know certainly I'm trying to stay in the warm as much as possible.
No, that's good. And what do you particularly love about Lincoln? What do you like doing in the city?
It's cliche. I love everything about Lincoln. I'm very similar to Dan. I do enjoy going out and having a drink. We've got some wonderful cocktail bars in Lincoln, but also I really enjoy the Castle Wall Walk. If you're a student, you can get a student discount on the tickets. And I mean, even though I'm scared of heights, I still do it because it's so lovely. And there's loads of history with it. On the walk on the way around, there are little plaques that can tell you all about different areas of Lincoln that you can see. And it's just really, really interesting.
There is a huge amount to do around the city and outside. And for anyone thinking of joining us in 2021, Lucy, what would your top tip be? What would your advice be? It's biased, but do it. Honestly, I chose Lincoln because it felt like home. I was choosing between 2 universities. I chose Lincoln and I loved it so much. I ran to be a sabbatical officer and I completely think of Lincoln as my home. It is. And Emma, have you got any questions for Lucy?
So I've just, we maybe just ask Brooke. We've got a question from Brooke about the students this year. If things are going to be virtual, are they still paying for society fees? So I think the question really in general is, are there fees associated with some of these societies that sound extremely exciting? And what sort of budget would that entail, I think?
So all of our sports and societies have to pay an insurance fee. It's just a part of joining a sports society. So there is going to be a bit of a fee. And I know that while at the moment government guidance means that sports and societies are being virtual where possible, meeting social distancing groups of 6 is possible. And obviously throughout the year, as government guidance changes, they will be doing more and more face-to-face events. And the fees you pay at the start of semester A will be for the entire year. If it's a sports team, it will cover the cost of your kit in most cases. And that is just worth it for the entirety of both semesters, because we are hoping, as everyone else is, that we won't be virtual for the entire year and students will be able to have that full university experience.
So the top tip is to sort of keep a bit of cash aside so that you can join all of these societies in 2021 in next October, so that you can actually fulfill a very full sort of student experience. Yeah,
for sure.
No, thank you. Thank you so much, Lucy. It's always such a delight to see you and the team at the SU. You do so much good work and you're all so positive and enthusiastic and supportive. And I know Emma and I were talking, because we had a question earlier about what would happen if students do stay in Lincoln at Christmas. And Emma and I were saying, well, we'll be here and we'll be cooking or whatever it takes. And I'm sure you guys will be around as well, won't you, if that happens?
For sure. If we can't go home for Christmas, we won't be with our families either. A lot of the student leaders live with their friends or their other halves in Lincoln. So we will be there cooking turkeys for students as well.
Yay!
Is it worth
turkeys?
Sorry, is it worth directing all of the viewers to some of your social media sites? Because I noticed Bailey was doing a sort of run through yesterday on one of your sites as to how to get into one of the bars, into the Swan. So it's worth it, because then everybody in that application journey can follow what's happening this year, which is probably the best way, because you've got really good sort of coverage, haven't you, of everything, I think.
Yes, we've produced videos on all of our venues, and almost most importantly, our advice centre and how students can access those in a COVID secure manner. But yes, certainly follow our Facebook, which is Lincoln SU. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. We have the website, which is lincolnsu.com, which has absolutely everything you could possibly need. It's like the holy Bible of Lincoln SU. And all of the student leaders have their own Instagrams and Twitters. And at the moment, we're running a competition that if you follow all 5 student leaders on Instagram, you get entered into a prize draw to win £10 of student credit, which can then be used in any of our bars. So we're all just ULSU and then Wellbeing, International, Environmental, but it's all on the main SU website.
Thanks, Lucy. That's been really great. We'll say a huge goodbye. Thanks for coming out this Saturday with us. And I'm sure everyone who's watching really enjoyed that as well. So thanks, Lucy, and goodbye. And Emma, I'm going to ask you to introduce our next fabulous guest.
Yeah, so our next guest is Caroline Connell. And Caroline is, in fact, Caroline, you explain, hello, Caroline, what your title is at the university. And we're going to talk about the application process, aren't we?
We are, Emma, thank you. Yes, I'm Caroline Connell, and I'm the Deputy Head of Student Administration. And Student Administration is a department that sort of works in the background, I think it's fair to say, but we cover everything from admission, so all applications to the University of Lincoln. We also do enrolment, we do assessments, we do exams, so we do everything right through to the graduation ceremonies at the end of the year.
You really do everything, do a really fabulous job as well. So thank you for taking time out to be with us.
Yeah, thank you. So the emphasis today is really sort of the application process. We're trying to get people excited about Lincoln, and they're sort of, hopefully our viewers are sort of starting back into sort of year 13 and now are thinking about their university journey. So do you want to give us a bit of an overview of the application process and what these students need to do?
Of course. So in summary, one of the good things about applying to a degree in the UK is that you only have to make one application. You don't have to apply directly to each university. So all applications are made through UCAS, and I'm sure lots of people watching have heard of UCAS, but UCAS is basically a sort of a central admissions process. So you make an application online to them, and basically they will facilitate your application and forward it through to the universities that you've applied for. So everything is online. And I think we've mentioned earlier that applications for next year, 2021, are now open. And we've got an application window up until, I think Ellie mentioned earlier, the 15th of January. So we're right at the beginning of the process. But it is a slightly earlier deadline for medicine. So that's the 15th of October, which is just a couple of weeks, really, isn't it? And I know we've got Will, who's here, and he'll probably talk a little bit more about that application process because it's slightly different. So right at the start of the application process, so it's fantastic that we've got so many people that have joined us today, and we're obviously keen to find out a bit more about how that works.
And what would we've had a question already, but what would the top tips be for students? You know, other things that they need to consider for before they submit their application. So things, obviously Tyler has mentioned about work experience, but also what other sort of things should people need to think about before they submit their application?
Yeah, so I think it's a really important point, Emma, because you have up to 5 choices, so you can apply for 5 different courses. So it's really important that you think very carefully about what those choices are going to be. So I think one of the things that we would advise is to, first of all, go onto the UCAS website. Every course has got information on there, but also university websites are really an important source of information. So our university website has a page for every course. There's a huge amount of information available for each programme, so not just about how you study and what sort of modules you can do, but there's also lots of information about the entry requirements, and that's a really important starting point because each course possibly will have different entry requirements and sometimes quite specific entry requirements. So if you're applying, for example, for a science subject, it's very likely that you're going to need to have studied some sort of science subject, either at A-level or the qualification, and possibly even need a specific grade. So our advice would be look very closely, because what you don't want to do is waste one of those valuable 5 choices. There's also potentially other information in there. So, for example, medicine might not accept some subjects. So, for example, critical thinking, general studies, A-levels are not included. And there may also be some very specific GCSE requirements as well. So it's a very good starting point. And it would also give you tips about what to include in your application as well. So we'd always direct people to go there in the first instance.
Absolutely. We've got a question from Madeline. What does an EPQ stand out? Does taking an EPQ stand out when applying? And I know lots of people will be considering whether they sort of take their EPQ as an additional qualification this year with also their A-levels, obviously.
Yeah. A really good question, Madeline. And for those of you that don't understand the acronym, that's the extended project qualification that students can take alongside A-levels or other qualifications. We accept it for the majority of our courses. I said earlier about checking the entry requirements to see whether or not it is. But we do like to see it because it's an additional way of learning. That students will do a project as part of it, and sometimes the subjects that are doing are really relevant to the subjects that they're applying for. So yes, we do accept it in the majority of cases, but just check the individual entry requirements for courses.
Excellent. What tips would you have for students about submitting their personal details? And if their personal details change, how easy is that to amend on their application?
One thing I'd say, once you make an application through UCAS, you get your own account really set up in UCAS, and you get access to something called UCAS Track. And that's where you'll manage all of your applications. So you can see exactly what's going on with each of your applications at any one time. So if you need to make any changes to your personal details for whatever reason, that's where you go in and do it. So you have your own password, you log into it, you'll get to know your login details by the end of the year, you'll get an ID number. But that's really where you manage all of your applications. So it's a really useful tool.
Thank you. There's a question here from Joshua, which obviously sort of relates back to your point about GCSEs, do you accept functional skills qualifications?
Another really good question, Joshua. And for the majority of our programmes, we will accept level 2 functional skills. So I think perhaps, Joshua, you're talking about numeracy and literacy. But again, please check the individual website pages, because some programmes won't accept it. But for example, most of our programmes will do and recognise those in lieu of GCSEs if they're level 2.
Thank you. And there's a question here from Mia. What makes a personal statement stand out? I can sort of very quickly, but I'll let you fill this bit in, Caroline, as well. Just let you know that we are doing some sort of workshops on personal statements, and we are doing some parents' evenings on the 8th of October to give you some tips on that. And we are sort of also doing some what we call Lincoln On Demand programmes, and personal statements will be part of that, Mia, as well. But Caroline, I'll let you.
And well, before Caroline does, Emma, it's probably worth just pointing out how you log on to those and how you find out about them, because they're all on our website, aren't they?
Yeah, they certainly will be. Sort of after today, they will be pointed on our website. So please sort of check on our website and on our various sort of social media sites, and all of those things will be, all of those activities, those events will be advertised on all of those sort of platforms.
And they are virtual, so anyone can join in wherever you are. And Caroline, as Emma says, you'll probably want to say a few words about what makes a personal statement stand out.
I think that the personal statement is probably the one bit that you'll spend your most time on when you're filling out your UCAS application. And I think we would say approach it very much like you were writing an essay. So it needs an introduction, it needs a conclusion. But this is really your chance to sort of tell us about you. Well, obviously, we've got all your personal details and your qualification details, but we want to know about you. And probably the bit that stands out the most is we're really interested to find out why you want to do that subject. You know, what is it that interests you about it? Why have you chosen it? We want to see that you're enthusiastic about that subject. So that's a really important part of your personal statement. We're also interested to know why you've chosen the subjects that you're studying at the moment. You know, whether that be A levels, a BTEC, an Access. You know, what is it that's made you do those subjects, and what are you interested in? We're also really keen to learn about anything else that you might have done, any work experience that you might have done, or any extracurricular activities at school. And I did see a question just pop up in the chat earlier about, obviously this year has been a particularly difficult year to get that additional work experience that we would normally ask for. So we are going to obviously take what's happened this year into account when we're looking at personal statements. It is going to be a very different year because of that. So, but anything else that you might have done that you feel would be useful for us to know, you know, we're interested to know what you're doing at the moment, but also what your potential might be too.
Fabulous.
The thing I observe, sorry, Emma, the thing I observe, Caroline, about you and your team is you always seem to go above and beyond for students. So I know when my stepson applied, you couldn't have done more to have helped him, for which I was incredibly grateful. How come you're so good?
Well, I think we do appreciate that for most applicants, this is going to be the first time they've ever applied for a university. And at the same time, we also realise that they're studying, so A levels, BTECs, Access. So it's an incredibly busy year when you're applying for university. And we really do appreciate that students need that additional support. And we'll have lots of questions, understandably. The application process is fairly straightforward, but again, it's all very new and there are various deadlines to adhere to. So if anyone's got any questions, anything they don't understand, please do ask. And I would say, again, this year for our applicants that are joining us now, it's been a really difficult year for them. And again, understandably, that there's been a lot of uncertainty, a huge amount of change, and we took unprecedented amount of calls over the summer just with those questions. And again, we appreciate that perhaps there will be some more uncertainty in the future, hopefully for not much longer, but that will be there. So we're really keen to support people through that application journey.
There's a question here from Alexander Roper, which I think is quite a typical sort of question. I certainly know if I'm out on the road, it's one that I get asked a lot.
Yeah.
and he's asking, do we accept a mix of CTECs and BTECs for courses?
Yes, we do, and we accept a huge amount of qualifications. I think if you read things on the media, they very much focus on A levels, but the reality is that students do all sorts of different qualifications. I mean, we accept students from all around the world, so we're very used to looking at different qualifications and making assessments. So we do obviously understand that not everyone just takes 3 A levels, and a lot of applicants will take a mix of BTECs and we mentioned CTEC. Alex mentioned CTECs there. So yes, we do. Again, just check the websites that we have for specific entry requirements, but we're very much used to seeing students have a mix of qualifications.
And have you got, sorry, I was just going to say, have you got any top tips for parents, Caroline, who might be watching a little bit nervous, and any advice that you'd give to parents?
Yeah, I think there's such a lot of choice out there, that there really is, and I think our experience is that applicants tend to pick the subjects they want to do first, and then look at what universities they're going to study. But I think open days are probably key to making those sorts of decisions. There's a lot of information on the website, but to actually, obviously virtually this year, but just to look at the additional facilities that are available to students, whether that be accommodation, student support, all of those things are key to making your final decision about where you want to go and study. And ask questions and contact universities directly if you can't find the answers that you need.
And all of our teams are around today. If you go onto the website, producer Darren will probably put up the link to the virtual open day. Thanks, Darren. And you can actually talk to Caroline's team, to the accommodation team, and ask any questions that you've got. And sorry, Emma, I interrupted your question there. Apologies.
No, my question was, it was going to be one of my questions, but actually I've noticed we have had it asked as well. Once a student has submitted an application, what's the typical sort of turnaround? When are they likely to hopefully receive an offer from us?
It very much depends on the programme that you've applied for. So I'll give you a couple of examples. So if you perhaps applied for a psychology programme, it'll be the admissions team that actually look at your application. So they'll look at your qualifications, your personal statement, your reference, and they'll make a decision on your application. And that can happen really quite quickly. So you can hear back from us within a few days. So the other extreme to that is perhaps if you're applying for nursing or medicine, where there's a selection process and an interview process, that will take quite a bit longer, because obviously you need to have an interview, and that will probably take a number of weeks. So I think, Emma, it's not a specific answer, but it will very much depend on the programme that you've applied for.
No, and I think that's the answer that we need to sort of give, that it is very individual on depending on the sort of the subject that you're applying for, isn't it? And I think that's exactly what we need to get across. I think we've got time probably for one sort of final question, and I think it's sort of probably a fun question really for you, Caroline. You, like me, have lived in and worked in Lincoln for a very long time. So what is your favourite part of sort of the university and the city, really?
I think I love the uphill bit of Lincoln. So the castle, the cathedral quarter up there, it's eating and drinking up there is lovely too. Thank you. Thank you, Ellie, for pointing that out. But I think the cathedral, again, being inside the cathedral, Emma, you'll know as well as I do that we're lucky enough to spend a whole week up there in September to support the graduation ceremonies, and it's a wonderful week. For some reason in September it always seems to be really sunny that week. I can't remember a time when it hasn't been, but being in the cathedral, an empty cathedral, seeing it fill up with our students who are all beautifully dressed, celebrating their success with their family and friends is just a wonderful week. And we're looking forward to getting back in there again.
It is very emotional, isn't it, Caroline?
Yes.
I don't think any of us would deny that we've shed a few tears out there when we see our wonderful students come through, and you just feel so proud of the journeys that they've been on. It is fabulous, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It's probably time to move on But a huge thank you, and thanks also to James Gailey, who also wants to thank you, Caroline, for your team's support and help. So hi, and
thank you, James.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, Emma.
Just highlighting that Caroline and Caroline's team are on the chat. So I've noticed there's a huge amount of questions, which of course there's going to be lots of questions about application process. So please don't worry. Just because Caroline is leaving us now does not mean that we can't answer those questions on the Slido chat. So please go down at the bottom of, thank you, Darren, to the bottom of the virtual open day, ask your questions, and the team are there until 2 o'clock in order to answer those. So we realise we're not abandoning you. We are here to answer those questions.
Very well put, Emma, and thank you very much. And a final goodbye to Caroline. Have a super day, and thank you so much for joining us from the Lecture Theatre in the Minerva building. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. And I think coming up, we've got another alumna who's coming in to talk to us, Chichi. Is that right, Emma? Chichi. Hi, Chichi.
Hi, Ellie. Hi, Emma.
Oh, how are you? Where are you? What are you up to? What's going on, Chichi?
Well, I'm great, thank you. I'm sat in our lovely sports centre in one of the seminar rooms that we've got in there.
Oh, right. And what's going on in the sports centre then, Chichi? Why are you there? Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, so basically, as a student at the University of Lincoln, I'd assume the sports centre will be a big part of your student life if you're interested in any sports at all. So we've got the reception areas you can see behind me. But yeah, once you walk in, but even before you walk into the sports center, you will see the great architecture. So you won't be missing it because it's on campus and it's no longer than 10 minutes walking distance away, either from any university building where you will have your lectures in or from your accommodation. So that is one of the best aspects about it at all. But before you even enter the sports center, we've got our lovely outside pitch where you can play football, rugby, any sports at all. So yeah, of course, like any sports that you wish, and it's great in summer, in spring, also autumn, just to be outside and to be able to play sports outside in the fresh air.
You were very sporty, weren't you, Chichi, as a student here? Remind us what you played.
Yeah, so as an alumni from the University of Lincoln, as you've mentioned, I was here for 4 years. So I was a member of the University of Lincoln's Volleyball Society. And during my time, I also held a committee position as a fundraiser. So it's a great opportunity for you to make friends, to basically get to know people and to have those links for the rest of your life. And yeah, I'd say it's a great feeling, especially when you were in the sports halls and you were playing, for example, for a BACS team, and you're playing against other universities. You're welcoming these universities, the sports teams that are coming to the university to play against you. But it's basically it's lovely when all your friends and everyone else, people you don't even know, come to the sports hall, and we've got great places for people just to come and watch the games that are happening. And everyone's cheering up, cheering your team and you up, everyone's shouting your name just to basically motivate you. And I think that was one of the greatest memories that I had from university, just playing and representing the university at all.
No, that's brilliant. We've got 2 questions. I don't know if you're going to know the answer to these, Chichi, but we'll give it a try. Hi, Sam Lund. Sam is saying, is there a gym on campus and how much are the fees? I know there is a gym. You can probably say more about it than me, Chichi, because I have to admit, I'm not a regular at the gym. You'll be shocked to hear.
Well, we do have a gym at the sports center, which is amazing, because if you compare the commercial gyms on the high street or anywhere close in Lincoln, in cities, which we all know, it's so much different, because you will just have students and maybe a few staff members in here. So it will be much more of a familiar situation. You will know the faces that you're seeing. You will not feel a little bit maybe awkward just going to the gym at all. And it will be less busy. I mean, during these circumstances, of course, with social distancing and everything, it will be a little bit different than what we're used to and what going to the gym looks like.
Some of the facilities outside, but probably probably best, because obviously we don't know what 2021 is going to be like yet, but I might move us on. Josh Lees has asked, is there a rowing club at Lincoln? I have a feeling the answer is yes. Oh, Chichi, you know the answer.
I mean, I have a feeling it's a yes as well, because I see people even on the Brayford pool just, being there.
Yeah, of course it's a yes. We're surrounded by water, aren't we? Yeah. It's right there. I know there's a canoe club. Emma, do you know? I know there's a canoe club.
Yeah, there is a canoe club, and I know one of the on a Sunday morning they're all out with their, and literally where you are, Ellie, you can sort of see out your window at it, can't you? And I also know that a lot of the sports science students and the sports science sort of master students do a bit of consultancy with the rowing club and the canoe club. So it's actually very active at Lincoln, Sam. So you really need to sort of have a look. I would suggest you have a look on to the SU page that Lucy was talking about, and have a look at, but I'm absolutely 99% certain that there is a rowing club. Josh, your question.
Yeah.
No, that's a good answer. Chichi, Madeline says, how many times a week would you train with your team? So when you were playing volleyball, how many times a week were you training?
Yeah, I can only speak from my experience with the Volleyball Society, but it will be really similar to any other sports societies anyway. So, for example, football. So when I was at the University of Lincoln's Volleyball Society, I was training with the team that I was on. So we had a Bucks team, Bucks ladies and Bucks men. So that was 2 Bucks teams, and we had one team that was not a Bucks team, but it was still competitive, playing against other universities not in a league. And then we had a social team, which is for everyone who's maybe not good enough to join a team.
So were you training, was it twice a week you trained? Because I know rugby trained twice a week.
So I had at least the opportunity to train twice a week when I was in the team. So I could train with my team, and then with this during the social opportunity where everyone can come together and enhance their skills as well.
And I know you've talked before about there being competitive, but also being non-competitive sports, and I bring that up because Brian E. Kiddier is saying, would her illness prevent her from taking part in sports? And I think you're probably really good to answer that, because I think the answer would be no, that you don't necessarily have to be competing at the highest possible level, do you?
Yeah, so exactly. So you can either decide to go the competitive route, so play in a team, but you can also just join a sports team for the social aspect of it. So we called them our socials, basically. So everyone comes together. You don't have to come every week again if you're suffering from chronic fatigue or anything like that. If you don't feel well enough to join, you just don't come. So no one will even you won't be in any trouble for missing any sessions or anything like that. So if you join the social teams, not a team, but the social version of the sports society, then you will just come and go as you like, basically.
And Chichi, just thinking more generally about your experience of Lincoln, what tips or what advice would you give anyone thinking about applying to Lincoln in 2021?
Well, the advice that I can give is basically, if you do your research about Lincoln, the University of Lincoln and the city itself, I have no doubts that you will not want to come here, because you will already be creating a to-do list in Lincoln, because there is so much happening, and you will just be fascinated about anything that the university offers, but also that the city itself offers. So I think it's a great combination, as the university being so great and offering so much to students, but also the city being so exciting that you can do so much. Just like even the comparison between the steep hill area and behind Ellie, as you can see, but also if you walk down the steep hill, that it's so modern as well. So it's historic and modern, so it's already exciting because you've got the mix, so you've got the best of both. And yeah, I can also say, because it's so close to everything, you do not need necessarily a car or any public transport. You're already safe even within these situations. You don't need a public transport that you can expose yourself, that you would expose yourself to maybe something. So it's amazing. Nothing is longer of a walking distance of 10 to 15 minutes, and I do stand by my word. It will not take you.
You are very fit, You are very fit, Chichi. I mean, I did see a question from Charlotte Wagner earlier, which was about whether or not there were groups to get to know people before you come. And I wanted to mention our Friends for Life initiative. So if you're thinking about applying, basically when you apply, you're invited to join Friends for Life, and we put you in touch with other people with similar interests or on similar courses, and you get to start making friends before you come, and that generally works really well. I believe we've even had a Friends for Life wedding, which was quite amazing, someone who met through Friends for Life, so we're really delighted. But what I was going to ask you, Chichi, is any tips for people who are perhaps a bit worried about moving away from home, going to university, on making friends and getting to know people? What advice would you give?
I would say no one should be afraid of being lonely at university, because you might not be aware of this right now, but you will be meeting so many people. You will have the people you live with, firstly, when you come to university, when you basically become a part of the University of Lincoln family. And second of all, you will meet people during your course. So you will have those people that you know who have similar interests doing the same degree as you. So you've already met two groups of people, which will be so, I can't give you a figure, but it will be enough people for not to feel lonely at all. And then if you are interested, and if you've got the time, and if you're willing to invest the time into it, you can join a society, a sports society or a team. It doesn't have to be a sports society. We've got so many societies. We've got over 170 societies here at the University of Lincoln. And it can be from Harry Potter Society to Wildlife Conservation Society to kayaking, cheerleading, etc. So there is so much for everyone. And you will, if you join a society or a team as well, then you will meet people there. And so you will already have 3 groups of people, but at least 2 groups of people you will already be in touch with, so you will not be lonely at all.
And Chichi, my very last question to you is, I know you came to, well, you tell us, how come you ended up coming to Lincoln?
Well, my love for Lincoln is, I think, a very different one to everyone else's, because when I came to the University of Lincoln in 2016, I was just supposed to stay for half a year. So I had already studied, I was studying back then in Austria, where I'm from, for 2 years, and I was supposed to do an exchange semester. But yeah, my parents were waving goodbye at me at the airport, thinking I'm going to come back within half a year and everything's going to be going back to normal. But yeah, that never happened. I never came, I mean, I went to visit them, but I never really moved back again. So I loved it here so much. Lincoln, the University of Lincoln gave me such a different experience of studying compared to anything else that I had seen and experienced as a student. I was welcomed so well, and I want to point this out. I was 1,000 miles away from my family, who I love so much, but I still felt so welcome, and I did not feel homesick like for a second, because they were offering so much. They were so caring, they were so welcoming. So I did not have to worry for a second during my time at the University of Lincoln, and that was one of the best. That was one of the major reasons why I decided to stay in Lincoln. So yeah, when I came here just for half a year, I realized how great it was, and how great it was also for my future to be a graduate from such an amazing university, and how good that will be for my career. I decided to stay, and I then graduated from my undergraduate studies in media production in 2018, and then I also did my master's in journalism here at the University of Lincoln. So yeah, and I'm still here, so I'm really, I'd say I don't really want to leave, to be honest.
And we should say a really big hello to Chichi's mum and dad if they're watching, and thank you so much for letting us keep Chichi, because she's absolutely wonderful. So thank you. Now, Chichi, we better say goodbye. It's always such a pleasure to talk with you. So thank you so much for giving up your Saturday and talking to Emma and I. It's absolutely lovely to see you. Have a good rest of the day. I'll probably see you later. So take care. Goodbye. And I think it's time for us to welcome Will. Yeah, God, the time's flying by today, Emma, isn't it?
Hello. We're our bit. Hi, Will.
Hi, Will. It's really good to see you. So Will is an undergraduate student. Well, you're in your second year of your medical degree, aren't you, Will? So, and you're actually here on campus now. You've been here for just over a week, I believe. So tell us a little bit about what's been going on, Will.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's really good to be back. Campus is a little bit quiet, but yeah, there's been lots of preparation in time for new students, outdoor spaces. There's a TP in the middle of campus, and the engine shed is a COVID-approved space, as you've probably heard from the SU. But yeah, it's been good to be back. Really, we've had a couple of face-to-face sessions. Because our teaching started on Monday.
And so what have you been doing? What face-to-face have you done, Will, so far?
Yeah, so we had anatomy and clinical skills, both of which I think are quite important to have the face-to-face contact. But the way they've been organised is really reassuring in terms of social distancing and things. So we're putting groups of 2 or 3. And they provide the PPE and sanitation and obviously the one-way system, so it's quite reassuring. But it doesn't affect the quality of the teaching, and it's been really good.
And you're going out, aren't you, on Tuesday? Did you say you're going out to see a GP on Tuesday?
Yeah, so we're still doing GP and hospital visits. So we've got, I believe, 3. Oh, I can't remember. I think we've got a few. But yeah, we're going to a GP in the Lincolnshire area on Tuesday, which will be really good. I'm looking forward to that. Getting back into.
No, that sounds fabulous. So, can I just ask, have you felt supported while you've been at the University of Lincoln?
Yeah, definitely. So as a continuing student, it's over the summer and stuff, I felt very supportive. My tutor was always there. Lecturers have clearly been working extremely hard to get things ready for us as we're coming back and the new starters. So I think also the SU has been great. So I'm in order, but they've also been very helpful to us and very supportive in things that we want to get planned for this year. Yeah,
and I suppose. Yeah, the key thing, I suppose, is, and then I'll hand over to Emma after this question for a couple of questions. But so this is for people thinking about joining us in 2021. So what advice would you give to anyone thinking about applying to Lincoln at the moment, Will?
Well, I'd definitely recommend it. As you've heard, there's something for everyone. But in terms of applying for 2021. So I think things like medicine, obviously, is you jump through a few more hoops than you would for some other degrees. But so yeah, this is actually my second degree. But advice for applying, yeah, I'd say get organised. I think there was a question earlier about EPQs and things. So when writing personal statements, see it as a way for someone reading it to get to know you. So anything additional is always beneficial. I found things like, as well as my work experience, my extracurricular activities and interests, and yeah, make it clear what you've done really and why you want to be here. But yeah.
No, that's great. I'll hand over to Emma for a couple of questions.
Yeah, sure.
Hi, Will. I think obviously there'll be a few visitors, a few viewers this morning sort of interested on your journey for medicine. And I know it's not a conventional journey as any sort of, and we've sort of had a chat earlier about that, but you did mention that you had done a bit of work experience in a school. So how did you factor that into your sort of personal statement?
So I when writing my personal statement, I basically just discussed my journey really as well. I think everyone's got a different story as to why they want to be where and when. So I did a degree beforehand. It took me a bit longer to work out I wanted to do medicine, which is obviously fine. I'm here now. I mean, I'm going to say that when I graduate, but yeah, no. So I worked in a school and I did consider teaching, and I decided that was just I wanted to be a doctor. Basically, I wanted to be an expert in a field, and I wanted to become a doctor. So that's sort of where it came about. So there's quite a lot of parallels between teaching and being a doctor, but yeah, I wanted to.
It's that sort of empathy with people, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. But it also was beneficial because obviously working in a school, you get the school holidays, so I was able to utilise those to get any extra sort of work experience and things. So and I was able to sit the UK CAT, which is the entrance exam, the aptitude test that you do to apply for med schools. But yeah, I was able to get some amazing work experience, and yeah, it was great.
Fabulous. And we were talking earlier in the week, and what we asked you sort of then was your sort of experience. Obviously, being a medical student, it's pretty tough. Your sort of studies are intense, and we know that. But what you were talking to us about, what you do for your sort of relaxation, your downtime, sort of your social sort of side. Tell us what you do, or what you did sort of last year whilst you were in Lincoln.
So I'm quite active. I like running and things. I find it's quite good for clearing the mind. I played squash last year at the university, which was great. But yeah, I mean, as a city, though, I think Lincoln has a lot to offer for people who want to do things outside of studying and winding down and taking your mind off the course. So one thing I actually really liked doing was going along to a local life drawing session on a Wednesday evening at the art gallery, which was great. I guess sort of maybe helps with anatomy a little bit, maybe. but no, it was fantastic. Loads of things really, and I think Lincoln really will be able to facilitate everyone's interests and things.
And I'm going to ask you, Will, are you in student accommodation? Where are you at the moment?
So I'm in a house this year. I was actually in a house last year as well. But yeah, I've been to uni accommodations and things, and it's all very nice, and yeah, it's brilliant. It was all very good locations and things like that. But yeah, no, this year I chose to live with three other medical students, so all on sort of similar timescales and get on. So it's a nice place to be living.
And what are your housemates like, Will?
Yeah, they're great. Yeah, obviously being on the same course, we all are quite busy in the day and things, but yeah, it means that we can all come down and have a chat and a chill out together and cook together and things like that. So it's great.
And dare I ask, can we see your room, Will? Can you move your camera a little bit? Is it?
Yeah, that's my bed. So I'm all plugged in here, but.
Oh no, that's pretty good. You've made it your own. What is that hanging? Should I ask this or not? What is that?
It's a Dulwich Hamlet scarf.
Ah,
It's
good.
a football team who I support, a very small team. I'd be surprised if people have found them.
You and Emma were really excited.
We know that.
I was absolutely. Yesterday, I was sat here and Liverpool got out of the coach behind me because, of course, they were playing Lincoln, and I had to text Emma because Emma gets so excited about football.
Really less excited about football, but obviously I was very excited by it.
So what are your top tips for making friends? Well, because as we were saying with Chichi, some people will be a bit worried about thinking about leaving home, those big steps that you take, and I'm sure even you probably felt a little bit nervous. So how do you cope with that? What do you do?
Yes, I mean, yeah, uni is obviously a big change. You're going to learn a lot of things, not just studying, but also sort of how to look after yourself and things. And but yeah, I'd say like coming to uni with a open mind and getting involved really as best you can. I know currently things are a little bit odd, but I think the fact that the SU has put on so many events and they've worked extremely hard to get things sorted for us just shows how supportive they are and willing to ensure your student experience is there. So yeah, definitely don't worry. The support is there, but yeah, I think being open-minded and willing to try everything out is always good. I also found that learning to cook is also a great way of making friends, because it's always a good way of impressing your mates and getting them around to.
So do you have a signature dish then? For your
Do I have a signature dish? I don't know, really. Probably not. But I experiment with all kinds of things. But my bolognese is a pretty mean bolognese.
It's a really good starting one. I mean, I'd strongly recommend anyone leaving home learn to cook spaghetti bolognese, because at least you'll survive the first sort of couple of, well, years, really, if you can do a spag bol. Would you agree?
I agree. I think it certainly makes some friends with me.
Exactly. No, but you're really good at making friends, though, Emma. I mean, what would your top tips be on making friends?
I don't know. I think Will has just sort of summed it up. Just keep an open mind. I think, when you're meeting new people, and I think I'm guessing, well, you've made the choice of sort of living with medicine students this year, Will. I'm guessing during your university years, you've mixed with and lived with other people off different courses.
Definitely, yeah.
I would just sort of say keep an open mind and sort of be open to everybody, and to whoever is on a different course or have come from a very different, diverse background. Then just keep open mind with that, and it's that's how you make the best friends, I think.
And Will, do you have a favourite thing to do in Lincoln? I mean, I know you've talked a little bit about this, but is there anything?
So I mean, I think that's a very difficult question, as people have sort of alluded to, really. It literally does have something for everyone. It's a great place to be a student. But yeah, as I say, I'm quite active. I like exploring, running around the city and running along sort of the river systems and getting into the local area. But yeah, I think the castle and cathedral and the historic side of Lincoln is all just amazing. If you can face the walk up steep hill, it's definitely worth it. But yeah, bars, restaurants, it's an amazing place. I think putting it down to a single thing is quite difficult, because as I say, there's so much to do. But yeah, I'd say just exploring, wandering around, enjoying being here, really.
No, I think that's really good. Have you got any final questions, Emma, for Will?
I don't think I've got any final questions, really, Will. It's just, I suppose our sort of final question would be, what's your first lecture on Monday? What have you got on Monday?
Oh, you put me on the spot. I need to check.
Oh, sorry.
I'm not sure. I can't remember. It might be a. I know we've got anatomy on Monday. So I'm going.
Well, that's good.
I don't think
you'll be on campus.
I will be on campus. Yeah.
No, that's really good. And you did mention the teepees earlier, and I know, I have to admit, Emma, I'm hoping you and I are going to go for a hot chocolate later in one of the teepees and just chill out and have a nice afternoon. But it's probably time for us to say goodbye to Will and say thank you so much, Will, for spending your time with us. I think it's always so nice to have a chat to a student, and thank you.
And good luck when applying.
Thank you too for that. And everyone, you can talk to other students on UniBuddy. If you look at the virtual open day page and you scroll down, you can find a speak to a student page, and you can have a chat to students, which is always really interesting. We will be wrapping up very shortly because it's the subject sessions this afternoon. And if you go on to the virtual open day pages, you can find the subject session which is relevant to you, and you can follow that. You can request a prospectus or get involved in a chat with a student or with any of our wonderful teams who have been here today: accommodation, admissions, welfare. Who else is here, Emma? There's literally...
there's the team of experts from the recruitment team, so they can answer any sort of questions on general questions, but there's also, and very importantly, a lot of academics on those Q&As. So any actual questions you have about the course, which is really important, then ask those questions about the course. They're there, so you can ask them on a one-to-one. Even if you're not available till 2:00, ask them now. They're available until 2:00. So keep asking those questions now.
That's really good, and there are some wonderful lectures on this afternoon. If you go through, you can find out about the importance of art in society and some wonderful business lectures. So whatever your interest, do go and join those talks and find out as much as you can. I'm going to see if producer Darren's around, if he'd like to come back to say goodbye, because he's been fabulous today. Hello, Darren, how's it gone?
Hi, yeah, it's really, really well. So many questions. We've had so many questions come through today, and I think we've answered pretty much all of them. But if there is any other questions that we haven't got to yet, please do head to the link at the bottom if you're watching on social media. As we're still around for another couple of hours, we'll be able to have a chat.
And Sam Lund is asking about the journalism lectures. Sam, I'm gonna point you on to the virtual open day pages. You should be able to find it if you scroll down to the College of Social Science.
No, College of Arts. So for journalism, if you look at the College of Arts, and if you can't see it, then if you just send a question on Slido, then Natalie and the team will be able to tell you where you can connect with journalism, because Natalie is there today to answer those questions.
And I'd like to say a massive thank you to everyone who stuck with us today. And I really hope that we've answered your questions. I hope that we've helped you in finding out a little bit about the University of Lincoln. It's a shame we can't welcome you on campus at these current times, but we really hope to welcome you back soon. It's always fabulous having an open day, but it's always nice to actually welcome you in person here. Darren, did you want to say goodbye to everyone?
Yeah, just final thoughts really. Just make the most of this virtual open day. The next year is going to be a really exciting time as you go through the application process. Follow us on social media, and especially check out our Instagram page as well, because you'll get a really good insight as to what the campus and the city looks like. There's plenty of content there, and we'll be posting information about our Friends for Life scheme and other things that you can get involved in as well. But no, I think it's been a brilliant live stream. And thanks to Emma and Ellie as well. You've done a great job.
No, thank you. Emma, do you want to take the final word today?
I would just say go with it, get all the information. If you do your research, then next year is going to be so much more simple. Certainly get your application in as early as you can, and then you can just concentrate on getting those A-level grades. That's what that sounds very like a mum, I know, but it's true. And I would now go and get yourself a cup of coffee, get yourself something and to eat, and just then spend the next couple of hours learning and listening about the subject that you're really interested in at Lincoln, because that's really going to sort of balance the whole university journey next year, hopefully.
And Madeline, Den and Anusha, thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure to spend this morning with you, and we really hope to welcome you in person onto our wonderful campus in 2021. We look forward to meeting you then. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you ever so much.